Shut up and listen. I am here today, guys, to tell you why it's so important that you learn how to actively communicate, and not only communicate, but actively listen to people and understand what they're saying. We are so divided right now as a country, as a people, as a whole, of just not understanding each other, and it comes from us not willing to listen and to get inside someone else's perspective and see where they're coming from. Our perspectives are so self-focused, and it drives me crazy because we need each other. We need community, and it seems so difficult to get anyone on the same page. We're not willing to compromise. We're not willing to think about something from another person's perspective. I talk to people that I like. I talk to people that I don't like. I talk to people that I strongly disagree with, and sometimes I just want to, but I don't. I still listen to them anyway because I want to know their perspective, and I want to know where they're coming from and how they got that idea in the first place. It's good to understand people, and it's good to come to terms that other people are not going to always think the same way you do, but you can understand each other and still have a really good conversation. So many of you have heard the basics about listening, right? So look somebody in the eyes. Make sure that you're showing some kind of affirmation, like you're nodding and you're saying, right, or yeah, that makes sense. And then something really good, especially if you're in sales, you'll know this, that you repeat something back to somebody. So you say, oh, well, you mentioned earlier this, or you said that you like this type of thing. And so you repeat back what it is that they said. So now they really know that you're listening. We have these tips and tricks that people talk about to show somebody that you're listening. And what I'm going to tell you right now, that's all trash. That's complete trash. You know why? Because if you're actually listening to somebody, you're not going to have to use these tips. You're not going to have to make sure you're looking at the person. Make sure that you're, okay, now you should not. There is no reason to learn techniques on how to pretend like you're paying attention if you're actually paying attention. Wow. I am gonna give you 5 ways of how to effectively listen to someone. Listen, if you don't wanna talk to somebody, then just walk away. That's fine. If you're going to spend the time and have a conversation with somebody, you need to make sure that you're actively listening and you're paying attention to what's going on. Number 1, be present in the moment. Be present in what you're talking about. Don't be thinking about what you have to do in the next few hours or what it is that you're trying to convey with your message. Be present and listen to what the person is actually saying. And you will get distracted, but you need to focus, because I know what you want. You just want somebody to listen to you so you can blah, 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 and you can talk all you want, and you don't want somebody to respond. And here's what I would say to you. If you want that, you need to write a blog, and you need to put it on private so nobody has the opportunity to tell you what they think about what you're saying, because you can't have a good conversation and not go back and forth. But we get this thing in our heads with all of this social media stuff that we use where it's just us outputting, and if we don't want to listen to something, we don't have to. But that's not the case with an actual conversation. That's the skills that we're missing, is an actual face-to-face conversation with somebody and how we need to actively listen when somebody's talking. Number 2, enter into every conversation thinking that you have something to learn. I don't care who you are, you know something that I don't know. And I would love if I talk to you that maybe I could learn that thing. Maybe I could learn a lot of things. I have no idea what you know, because I spend my time working on one field and you spend your time working on another. And even if it's the same field, we've read different books, we've seen different articles, we've had different experiences, and I would love to know what those things are. Number 3, go with the flow of the conversation. I am extremely guilty of this. So you know when you're listening to a conversation and you hear a key thing that somebody says, and all of a sudden you get a story in your head, or you get something where you're like, oh, I can tell them about this. And then you start to fixate on that and you start to focus on that. And all of a sudden 30 seconds have gone by, they keep talking and they're into a new thought process, and you're still stuck here. If you stay stuck where you're at in your story, you're no longer actively listening to that person. So what you need to do in that situation is get that idea and then let it flow right back out. Because if it's not part of the conversation anymore, you need to let it go and you need to flow with what this person is saying. You need to make sure that you have the full picture of what somebody is trying to say before you respond. Number 4, don't act like you know if you don't know. It's okay to say, gee, I'm not sure, or I don't know what I'm talking about. Number 5, do not relate your personal experience with someone else's. When somebody is talking to you about something personal to them, something like how a family member died, or how they're going through a struggle right now, they don't want to hear about your story. This is not about you. This conversation is about them and what they're going through. When you're talking about something that you're going through and then your friend says, oh yeah, me too, oh, I've had the same situation, oh, that drives me crazy. So show them that you're there for them, show them that you understand, but do not give them examples of your personal experience with that, because it shifts from what they're talking about to what you're talking about. And that's the last thing somebody wants to hear when they're trying to share with you their personal experience. And you have to understand that every experience is different. It's not the same, and it will never be the same as your experience. We need to be listening to understand, not to respond. Once we understand somebody, then we'll know how to respond. But first, we have to understand. Every experience can be a learning experience if you let it. I hope you understand why you need to shut up and actually listen sometimes. I'll talk with you guys soon.